People who work out, they know this. BCAAs, amino acids. If you don't have time and you're one of those guys, or maybe you're fasting, or I don't have time to eat breakfast and lunch, I was there. You will dwindle away doing this work. You will literally ruin yourself. It's a downward spiral if you don't eat throughout the day. Even if you say you're getting I do intermittent fasting, I can get all my calories in at night. Doing this job is different. If you're out in the field, you're managing or running a business, you need fuel. If you can't get your protein in, or even if you're really sore, using supplements from the gym at work can be life-changing. There's simple supplements out there, BCAAs. That's your glutamine, your isoleucine, your valine, leucine, all these kinds of supplements can help your body recover. They send signals to your body to stay anabolic so that you're constantly in a recovery state. While you're working, sweating, you can be sipping on EAAs, BCAAs, amino acids, so that you help and try to capitalize your workday so that you're recovering. Especially those of you, I know there's a ton of you. I saw a ton of you at the shows, this past winter, who are all jacked up. Maybe you prioritize the gym at gym time. Use the same concept. Use the same supplements that you use in the gym at work. All my buddies, all my friends are contractors, maybe a couple that aren't. I tell them, I say, these supplements can help you so much throughout the day that you won't even think about it. So recovery as a theme can be 24 hours. You can be recovering while you're working. You can be recovering at night while you're sleeping. But having proper recovery, resting at any given time will keep you as a business owner sharp, stable, making great decisions, talking perfectly to clients. You want to, show your best self selling $50,000, $100,000 job. You got to come on that day. You can't if you don't sleep and you're all jacked up on or crashing off of 700 milligrams of caffeine.
This episode is brought to you by Hardscaper.com. The Hardscaper mission is to empower industry professionals with the skills, inspiration, and confidence they need to take their businesses to new heights. Struggling with training programs for your team? Looking for helpful tips to build a better company? Subscribe today to gain access to hours of interactive on-demand Hardscape construction and business courses for free. Check out Hardscaper.com. You're listening to Hardscape Growth, a podcast for hungry professionals who want to grow their businesses and level up. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Hardscape Growth Show. I'm your host, Alex from TechnoBlock, and today we are joined by someone who's here to help us in many ways that you wouldn't really think about when you think about building your business, but that's on the physical side of things. So we got a special guest who really lives at that intersection of grit and discipline and smart business and taking care of yourself. His name is Alex Farah. He's the owner of Farah Landscape Design, a landscape construction company out of New Jersey, and Farah Nutrition. Alex isn't just building stunning outdoor living spaces. He's also a certified personal trainer for the past 12 years. He's a sports and exercise nutrition expert, and he's someone who understands exactly what it takes for contractors to fuel their bodies for peak performance on and off the job site. So today, what we're jumping into is the top 6 health and nutrition takeaways that every hardscaper needs to know, from hydration that keeps your mind sharp and your foreman finishing strong on the job, to fighting inflammation, dialing in the caffeine use. It's a powerful tool, but too much of it, like anything, is a very bad thing. Understanding how many calories your body really needs, smart macro timing. We're going to talk about what my macros are in the first place, and then we'll get into how you time it. And then sleep and recovery hacks that will keep you from burning out or breaking down. Season is just getting started. It's a long year. It's a lot of physical grind, and we want to make sure that we're in the right shape to do it. So if you want to think clearer, feel better, and get more done, this is the episode for you. Let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Thank you very much, Alex. A pleasure to be here.
Yeah, very excited about this. I recently turned 40 last summer.
Wow.
And I'm increasingly aware of the fact that I am 40. So I'm particularly interested in this one here.
Okay.
So in preparing for this, we were exchanging some notes, and you were saying like the main things are things I covered: hydration, inflammation, caffeine levels, calories, macros, and sleep. So why don't we start with hydration and talk about what really matters? And yeah, take it away. You tell me. You're the expert.
All right. So obviously, I've been running my business for 10 years, my landscape company, and I know all the ins and outs of how hard we as contractors work. A lot of folks say, "Oh, you're such a hard worker, you're working outside," but it really is. It takes a toll on your body. So I would say the number one thing that us contractors have to be aware of is our hydration. A lot of folks take it for granted. They'll say, "Oh, I had a couple bottles of water here and there, even when it's cold out." But it's vital to be hydrated. There's a statistic that if your body's 2 to 3% dehydrated, your physical, mental, cognitive, all the performance that you have as a business owner or any kind of contractor, laborer, your performance goes down drastically. And it's vital to make sure that the timing of your hydration also matters because, from textbook day one, once you're dehydrated, it's too late. You're playing catch up. And a lot of us play that game every day. It's, vital to make sure you wake up first thing in the morning. I always tell people I've coached, my guys, you want to drink at least a liter of water, just water before your coffee, before your food, tea, anything of the sort. Whether you work out in the morning, or you're just rolling up to the shop, getting ready to go, a liter is like a good standard to start with of water. Now,
Why is that so like why before anything else? Like first thing I do, I get up, drink that water. Why can't I drink it on my way to the job? Why can't I drink it once I get to the job? Why is it gotta be right when I wake up?
so your body, right when you wake up, right, all your, not that your organs have been sleeping, but your body's been sleeping for, hopefully somewhere around 7, 8 hours. A lot of us don't have that, ability to sleep that long, but essentially you've been in a fast for whatever time length, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep. During that time, obviously, your body's still functioning and using all of its stored water, glycogen, all the areas of your body that hold on to water. So when you wake up, the first thing you want to is drink water to start to replenish yourself. Because again, think of it logically, you've been in a water fast or a dry fast for, again, your whole time sleeping. Not only that, if the day before you're running thin on your hydration, you don't want to start playing catch up first thing in the morning. You want to make sure you're staying on top of it. So in the morning, you get off to a good start.
Okay. And then you were talking about how dehydration impacts your performance. What are some of the signs of dehydration? Because when I think of dehydration, I think like I'm completely dehydrated. I've been out on a run. I've been out in the sun all day. Like I'm done.
Yeah.
But dehydration starts way before that.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's exactly it. Most of us think after it's too late, after our shirts are soaking wet or you're just totally zonked from the day, you're dripping sweat. That's, you might have been too late on it. The first sign, dehydration, would be cognitive because you might not notice it. It might creep up on you, but if you start to feel a little like not sharp, if you start to see yourself maybe like rethinking things, like small little things that you're doing and not being super clear as you were maybe in the beginning of the day, it might not have to do with other things. It might not have to do with your food or your caffeine levels. It could just be purely you're starting to dehydrate. So as a business owner,
Water in your brain.
exactly. So, especially a business owner, that is detrimental. Whether you're talking to clients, you're buying materials, you're trying to type up quotes, you're, talking to your guys, or if you're on the job site, even talking to, and I've been guilty of this myself. You're speaking with a client, they don't want to see you all stressed out, and they don't want to see you looking like, dizzy or confused. They want to make sure that you're on top of what's going on their property. The guys will look at you too, and if you're kind of out of it and not totally with it, it's going to have a big impact on the entire day, and even more so afterwards, potentially.
So what aside from that, because like I guess I can tell if my brain's feeling a little fat or fuzzy or whatever, but how can you see it across your team? Because like one of the big things that we always talk about is taking care of your team. So how can I see that like, hey, maybe my guys aren't drinking enough water. Maybe I should pull this guy aside and like, hey man, like have some water.
Yeah, so the cognitive, I would say, is like eh, it's probably the hardest to really notice, exactly. Yeah, say you guys are out on a job site. um you know we like to bring cases of water in a cooler to the jobs that keep them in the truck. I tell my guys always, like, please, make sure you go and get water. Like, I know we're working on a job and they work hard, they bust their asses, but you have to take time to drink whatever those bottles of water or sip on your gallon. If you see the guys start to, it's the same thing, be sluggish, be a little slow, kind of taking their time, where they, otherwise don't usually act like that. I think that's a, big indicator. You see their shirts in the summertime, if it's, totally covered in sweat, obviously they've been sweating, they've been working. Have they been drinking water? One of the things that I love to see is at the end of the day, when we clean out the trucks, we have bins of bottles and or cups from, the jug. I love to see how many waters the guys went through in the day. That's great. They're drinking water. So, something to keep in mind. Or if the guys who love their gallon jugs, you want to see them at least go through one at least a day. We'll get into that a little bit. We can get to the specifics of that later, but yeah.
Okay. And is water enough? Like I know guys like Gatorades, and plus there's the guys pounding back Monster Energy and stuff, but that's not really hydration, right?
Right. So a lot of people, and I don't fault anybody because it's big marketing. It's, we all succumb to it one way or another. Uh, Electrolytes are key to hydration. If you just drink water, all you're doing is drinking the water. Your body can absorb some of it, but you'll also see yourself having to go to the bathroom frequently. Now, if your body consumes enough sodium, potassium, magnesium just to start, um, you'll hold on to that water a little longer. You might still sweat just as much, but you can kind of know when you're just dripping sweat versus you're sweating again, 90, 100 degree, the 100-degree day outside. You'll notice how wet your shirt is, or if you're dripping on the pavers you're cutting, things like that. You will really notice that. So electrolytes basically help hold on to that water, essentially hold on to that water in your body. Now, all these electrolytes play a key function with every organ in your body. Your brain needs them, your muscles sure as hell need them. Every single part of your body needs electrolytes to hold on to that water and have that nice balance of water to electrolyte minerals to play optimal role during, body function.
So can I consume too many electrolytes, or like what? How do I know what's the right amount?
So it's kind of a hard to give any person a specific amount of electrolytes because it has a lot to do with how much and what kinds of food you're eating. The typical American diet is full of sodium, maybe not so much of the other electrolytes, choline, magnesium, potassium. Somebody eating a typical American diet, lots of sugar, lots of sodium, they may need, they may have enough sodium, right? Maybe it's not from the best place, but they may have enough sodium as long as they're drinking enough water, you can balance yourself out. But you can also get headaches and, high blood pressure from too much sodium as well, because essentially you want to make sure that your blood is pumping and moving um, in a very fluid motion throughout your body, especially your heart. If it's too thick, you may have too much sodium in your body. If it's too thin, you may be running out, you might not have many electrolytes to hold on to that water. So there's a fine balance. And a lot of it has to do with your physical activity. Somebody who sits at a desk all day is not going to need the same requirements as somebody who's outside working every day.
Hmm. So is there a way to, like, outside of what I eat, obviously, I can tell if there's a lot of sodium in the stuff I'm eating or not, but like outside of headaches or blood pressure, are there ways to know what is an appropriate amount of electrolytes to be intaking on a typical day working outside? Should I be smashing a couple Gatorades or
Yeah. So
like how do I make it practical? What do I do?
Again, it's really tough, and I don't want to claim finite levels here, right? I got to be careful with what I'm suggesting,
Yeah,
but
but just
like a general consensus, like Gatorade, for example, they claim to be the athlete strength, the sport drink, but if you actually look at the ingredients, whether it's the regular Gatorade, all their lines, they have many different SKUs. The amount of electrolytes in there is like pitiful. That really is just more of like a fruit punch type of drink with a sprinkle of electrolytes, and I've been saying that for years. Um, it really is. There's tons of products out there that have really good amounts of well balanced sodium, potassium, magnesium, choline, other kinds of electrolytes. There's a brand Element that makes little packets. They have a gram, I think, of sodium alone, which is great. I would say uh, supplementing with a good structured electrolyte product can help. Again, it's a supplement actually putting pink Himalayan salt on your chicken or your rice or things like that. So it's really tough for me to tell anybody exactly how many electrolytes they need. I would say, your recommended daily amount on the back of any nutrition label is really not accurate. You would need at least, like maybe 300 to 500 milligrams of, magnesium, potassium. You can have up to a gram of potassium if you're eating a ton of cruciferous green leafy vegetables. That's great for you. Sodium really is the first to kind of run in and out of your body. A gram a day, which is 1,000 milligrams, is a good start for somebody, but a gram on the back of a nutrition label may say, oh, 20 or 30% of your daily allowance, or maybe even 50, depending on what it is. I would say, honestly, for us guys working outside, 2 to 3 grams is more realistic of maybe, again, depending on what you're eating, you may need to supplement with that. So
because you're sweating so much.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so basically, if you're sweating a lot, just water, not enough. You need to replenish the electrolytes as well. Sodium is one of them. There are others that you named, but looking at some of those tablets or the powders or the true electrolyte supplements that you can add to the water is a better choice for you than smashing through a six pack of mini Gatorade.
100%. And I'm not even discussing about the artificial ingredients that's in Gatorade, Powerade, Prime energy drinks, Prime hydration. It's purely, and I can fully say this, I know it's purely a marketing scheme that they want you to buy it because it's electrolytes, but they also have to make it taste great. They use sucralose, aspartame, all these different dyes that are now finally being, trying to get rid of, being sold. But they barely have electrolytes, honestly. So it's purely just a super tasty drink that's being sold.
All right. So let's shift gears. Let's talk about inflammation now. Like whether it's your shoulders, your elbows, your back, your knees. Uh I played hockey for a long time, so I have all kinds of wonderful knee problems, and I feel the inflammation at
Mhm.
a couple days back on the job site. What can I do nutritionally that will affect that? Like I'll get home, I'll lay on the couch, I'll prop my legs up, I'll put ice on the knees, but like that's just a physical thing that I can do. What can I ingest that would help that?
So things that are great for inflammation, anti-inflammatories. Now you have medicine, we'll call it your Advil, ibuprofen, right? Those are kind of things that, or put a Band-Aid over it, right? But that's not really, um, factoring the cause of it, and that's really not good for your liver, your kidneys on a daily basis. I know people, old timers, that tell me, "Oh, I pop a Advil, twice a day, every day." That's really, studies show that that's not a healthy way to live. So great options are herbs, for example, root vegetables like turmeric. Turmeric is a phenomenal anti-inflammatory. It's, one of the top 5 studied, products that can be used for anti-inflammation. Um, Boswellia extract is another great one. It's, again, another herb, root category. It's natural. That's what you want to take. You don't want to be taking ibuprofen every day. You want to try to find natural ingredients to consume. I'm sure there's a ton of people out there that take turmeric. Maybe not so many take Boswellia. There's products out there that kind of combine the 3 of them, including glucosamine, MSM, which I'm not going to try to even butcher pronouncing the name. I never have. But you want to try to stick. Yeah, you guys can look it up. MSM. I'm not even going to bother. But basically, supplementing to help with inflammation is key, because a lot of inflammation could come out as tendonitis in your elbows, your knees, your shoulders. What do the doctors and physical therapists tell you to do? They tell you to rest. Maybe if you're weightlifting, take it easy. Don't go so heavy. But if it's our job, it's not even a question. If you're laying pavers all day,
Yeah.
oh, how am I going to?
Actually, the blocks are not getting lighter.
Exactly, exactly. So, guys with lower back pain, knee pain, any kind of joint pain, right? Like, you have to try to find a way to work with it. So, there's definitely good products out there that can help with that.
So MSM, I looked it up while you were talking there. Methyl sulfonimethane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But it's a naturally occurring compound found in plants, animals, and humans, commonly used as a supplement to reduce inflammation and joint pain.
Yep.
So the I think the thing, like, I hear you talk about like taking Advil or other medications. I think the thing is, like, you feel the difference. You take some Advil, within an hour, the pain starts to lessen. The inflammation starts to lessen.
Mhm.
With these, um, with these natural solutions
Yep.
like turmeric, boswellia, glucosamine, how long does it take before you actually start to feel it? Like, you got to take it regularly. Yes,
Yeah.
or like you have to ingest them. They have to be brought into the bloodstream and all that. But like, can I see a difference within a week? Can I see it? Does it take a month?
Yeah,
Does
for
it
sure.
a couple days? Like, what is it?
So, depending on the dose, right? Everything is dose dependent. And again, your body and your activity level can vary, but there's studies that show just taking turmeric alone, within 3 days, you can see drastic relief in your joint pain, which is amazing. Not harmful to your liver, your kidneys. Most people can generally take turmeric, safely. Obviously, people eat it in their foods, different countries, it's a staple in their diet, but we have to be able to try to take some of that. And if guys don't really like the taste of turmeric, or they don't even think about eating turmeric or turmeric tea or anything like that, they have to take it in a supplement form. It's a great option. Take it in a powder or, capsules. There's tons of companies, including my own, that, have turmeric in their products. So I would say at least, you know, you could see, or not at least, studies show that for sure within 3 days of consistently taking an appropriate dose of turmeric or MSM, boswellia, glucosamine, you'll see much relief in the inflammation in your body.
Can I combine all these things, or is it a dosage thing?
So you can absolutely combine them. I'd be hard pressed to tell you that you can overdose on any of these things. Again, because they're naturally occurring in your
Root
body.
stuff, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
like a 500 milligram turmeric supplement you can mix with glucosamine, MSM, boswellia, and you can play with the doses. You could have 2 grams of turmeric, a gram of boswellia, a gram of MSM in a day, and again, it's not harmful to your body. Um, just kind of everybody's different. Everybody's pain levels are different. People who exercise regularly and pounding on their joints and working, they may benefit from a little bit more supplementation.
Hmm. Okay. Anything else you want to add on inflammation? Other things that outside of the nutrition side, is there anything else that, like, your back's bothering, your knees are bothering, your elbows, whatever? Are there other steps that I can take so that I can prolong my career and not be looking to shift into a different job by the time I reach 40?
Right. So I'll play with the theme of us contractors laying bricks and block, right? So if you're bending over all
Yeah.
day, if you're the guy cutting and walking and cutting a curve, for example, you don't have an IQ saw, you're just walking the cut curve. You want to make sure that how you're walking and how you're holding that saw, because a steel, whatever the number is, we have 2 of them, but that saw is not light, filled with mix, gas. It's not light, and it takes a lot of effort and y- you know to walk with that, let alone the fact that it's can be dangerous. Proper form, as funny as that sounds, proper form can make a massive difference while we're working outside. Lifting with your legs instead of your back, picking up semi blocks or little man boulders or a stack of pavers. If you have your shoulders pushed back, you squat down, you pick up that stack, I would bet any amount of money that the person with proper form walking from the pallet to where they're laying will out be for sure somebody who's hunched over, bad form, doesn't really know how to haul block or get it to the site. So proper form, I would say, again, as silly as that sounds, it makes a huge difference in how you're constantly lifting and laying retaining wall block, or even shoveling. If you got the skid here, you got to shovel into the bucket over something. Have good posture. Do everything you can to make sure that you're conscious of how you're moving your body when you're working, because over time, I know for a fact if I'm on the ground laying pavers and I know I'm slunched over, the next day I'm shot every time. If I am conscious of it and I'm taking my time and really setting, not only am I going to do a better job of setting the actual pavers, right? I'm taking my time with it. My back's not going to hurt nearly as much. So if I could express to everybody working proper form and staging yourself to do any kind of movement, think of it as like a lift. Think of it as an exercise that you're doing repetitions of, instead of just, oh man, I got to haul this block over here. I got to lift this thing over there, in and out of the truck too. Last thing I'll touch on this.
Yeah.
So every time I go into a stone yard and there's a guy in his, 60s, his 70s, he sees me hopping in and out of the truck. Every time they tell me, "Oh, you shouldn't be jumping out of your truck. Oh, my knees are shot." I used to do that when I was a young gun, 20, 30 years old. After 20, 30 years of doing it, my knees are shot. I've had hip replacements, knee replacements. Getting in and out of your truck, if you have a top kick, if you have a 5500, if you're driving a semi, a triaxle, again, it is vital that you're conscious of how you're moving throughout the day. So that's my last piece on that.
Yeah. The only thing I'll add to that is obviously the using tools, using different clamps, using the mini excavator you have on site, attaching a clamp to a chain on the bucket and slinging block around that way. Well, that'll reduce a lot of the strain. And the only other thing I'll say with regards to the
Oh, that's very true.
skier,
That's very true.
yeah, I tried an exoskeleton last year too.
Oh, wow.
Basically, like, this thing straps over your shoulders and wraps around your legs.
Yep.
It's a very simple one. It's a small company out of Quebec here. Actually, it's called BioLift. I'll give them a shout out because they're a small company. They're just a little startup, but it's pretty cool.
BioLift.
Basically, it has like a spring loaded thing in your back, so it's pulling you back up. So as you bend over, you're holding a saw, you're laying a slab, you're laying a block, whatever. The spring is counteracting So it's kind
Wow.
of like lessening the load on your muscles. It's pretty slick.
Wow.
But yeah,
That I mean
but no, that's just something that
no, that's really cool.
worth looking into.
I've never seen one of those in
Yeah.
person. I feel like I've seen a video on those or clip or something, but no,
No, I tried it.
that's really cool.
It's not like it's a miracle thing, but like you feel a difference. You feel a difference, and like you don't feel like this miraculous difference on one block. But I
Mm.
could see if I'm doing this all day, yeah, for sure, I'd feel a difference by the end of the day.
There's let me
All right. So yeah.
I have to touch on what you just said. Thinking of what you just said, there are you can find them at any sporting goods stores. There's braces that you can wear. You can wear knee
Yeah,
strap. I didn't even think
I
about
actually
that.
could like that.
Yeah, so
What kind of like you're talking about like those neoprene braces for your knees and elbows and
a-
stuff, or you're talking about like the
absolutely.
weightlifting belts?
Well, I would use a weightlifting belt. I had one of my guys work with me from high school. He showed up with a weightlifting belt. I said, a leather strap.
It's like, what's that doing?
That's kind of a lot. That's kind of a lot. But there's Muller makes them, Chic makes it. There's a bunch of different brands that you can put them on your elbows and they help tighten it up. You can put it all around your waist. And I see guys, in warehouses, they're wearing them all the time. Why? I rarely see anybody working outside wearing those knee straps. And again, I'm not talking about powerlifting, 8 foot long straps, but just a slip on knee strap from McAdam, any of those brands, those can absolutely help you for sure. So I'm glad you said about the exoskeleton because I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, we're trying to help guys, so it's everything that applies. Let's cover it.
No, for
All
sure.
right. So let's move on down the list of caffeine. Caffeine is probably the most one of anyway,
Mhm.
one of the most abused.
Yes.
Um, would you call it a supplement? What would you call it exactly? What category does caffeine fall under?
Well,
Stimulant, I guess.
yeah, caffeine. It obviously comes in supplement form, but caffeine you get from coffee, you get from tea, so it's more of an ingredient that's categorized as a stimulant that you can buy in supplement form, whether it's in drinks or powders or pills or any of the sort. So
So you said to me the FDA recommends at most 400 milligrams per day. If you look at the back of a can of a Red Bull or a Monster Energy drink or something like that, you're hitting well over 200 on that one can.
yep,
And there's guys that are crushing 2, 3 of these cans a day, plus their coffee in the morning,
yep.
plus they're having a Coke or a Pepsi at lunch that has caffeine in it too. So what's happening when I'm ingesting that much caffeine?
So caffeine essentially doesn't give you energy. What it does is blocks receptors in your body and your brain that make you sleepy. I'll leave it at that. So all it's doing is pushing back your tiredness, right? When you wake up first thing in the morning, your cortisol's up, your hormones are again waking up, which again, why hydrating was extremely beneficial first thing in the morning. You don't necessarily need coffee or any caffeine first thing in the morning. Coffee or tea in the morning is more of a like a habit, a nice thing to have. Like there's people I know that drink decaf coffee every morning. And I'm like, why are they even bother? But you think about it, oh, they like the taste of it. They like to just, have a routine. Oh, my nice hot coffee in the morning. The problem occurs. The problem occurs when you have this caffeine hit in the morning, you start to your energy levels start to decline, and depending on what kind of caffeine, they can decline rapidly or they can steady out. Usually most guys take lunch around noon, if they take lunch at all. After lunch, and again I'll touch on food in a little bit, but after lunch they're going to want another hit of that caffeine because it's completely out of their system. Regular standard caffeine usually lasts up to 4 hours in highly sensitive people. Most people who drink caffeine throughout the day, they'll feel it for maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours at most. So from your morning drink of choice to lunchtime till after lunch, you still have half a day left. You laid half the patio. We got to finish up, right? We got to keep going full force. So although that's the perfect time, not many people are walking around with hot coffee in their truck. There's the energy drinks. There's the Monsters, the Red Bulls, the Prime Energy, the Ghosts, and those drinks can vary with how much caffeine they have. A cup of coffee can have maybe, like, if you're drinking, Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, any name brand coffee could have up to, say, a regular coffee, up to 100 milligrams of caffeine. If you're looking at teas, maybe more in like the 50, 60, 80 milligrams, right? So say most people drink coffee, I would assume. At least contractors I know. I don't know too many who are drinking tea in the morning. Um,
Not too many.
Not too many. I'm sure that there are plenty, but not too many.
There are some,
Yeah.
but yeah, most of the time it's a black coffee in a thermos. 6 a.m. walking out the door, 6 a.m. showing up at the shop, and
Yep.
there's steam coming out of it, and you've been sipping on it for half an hour,
Yep.
an hour already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's call it 100 milligrams. Say after lunch, which is, I find, rare that people can hold off until after lunch or at lunch to have another energy drink. Most energy drinks I see on the shelves have at least 200 milligrams of caffeine. Those are the ones guys are grabbing. 200 milligrams of just caffeine alone. And the type of caffeine, varies greatly. Most of the caffeine that's in energy drinks, again, they're all about making profit. They're going to use caffeine anhydrous, which is a very cheap form of caffeine. Not that it doesn't work, but it's a very inexpensive supplement of caffeine versus green coffee bean, green tea extract. So it's in its purest synthetic state at caffeine anhydrous. So say you're 100 in the morning, if you can last till lunchtime, 200, maybe 300, right? You're teetering on that level, which is, your recommended value of the day, right? Some of the other macros, which we'll get into, I have found, and a bunch of the other people who I work with and talk with, the FDA recommendations are kind of out of whack, but caffeine for sure, I would agree with, because it's a stimulant. You can way overdo it. Say you're at 400 milligrams by lunchtime. Usually you have another one. In my experience, including myself, I would have another one maybe around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. I'm trying to finish a job. Oh, I got to drive an hour back to the shop or whatever.
Yep.
It's all a losing battle towards the end of the day. Say by the time 6 o'clock rolls around, you've had 600 milligrams of caffeine. And I know for a fact there's people out there that are drinking way more than that. But say that's your average guy working in the field. You are going to have the most epic crash after work. Whatever your plans are after work. If you have a family to come home to, you have to have energy for your children, your wife, your husband, whatever, your family when you come home. This is vitally important that you have energy for your family, right, after work. If you don't have a family and you live by yourself, you're, however old you are, and you don't have that obligation, and say you want to hit the gym afterwards, exercise is amazing. I'm absolutely, I love anybody who has the energy to go work out after work. Kudos to them. That workout will suffer from all the caffeine that you've already ingested. And most of the time, people who are working out after work will drink a pre-workout, which again has caffeine, maybe 300 milligrams of caffeine. It's an endless cycle. So I'm going on a rant here a little bit, but I want people to realize they're not alone. Everybody is doing this, is drinking an absurd amount of caffeine every day, which is not good
So
for anything.
what do you do to reset? Because, like, man, if you're used to having 4, 5, 6 coffees a day, and you're already going over that, and then you go to the gym and you have your pre-workout or whatever before you go to work, you go to the gym, you have a pre-workout. I don't know what your routine is, but most people I know are consuming too much caffeine. What do we do?
So there's two ways to go about it. again, it's a substance, it's a stimulant, right? Your brain is used to it most of the time, consuming this much caffeine. I'll tell you my story. I was having at least a gram a day of caffeine, 1,000 milligrams. That was probably at my peak, and I was doing this for
Almost 3 times more than what is recommended.
exactly. And I'm a business owner. I have to be alert. I got my hands everywhere, right? Even if I'm just managing, I got a lot going on, let alone if I'm out in the field, I need the energy. What I did, and of course I use myself as a test subject, I cold turkeyed. I'm sure you've heard the term. I stopped. The problem with this, and I'm sure people who use any other kind of substances or drinking, if they cold turkey something, your body is going to react. It's going to say, what the hell is going on? What I notice, and I know a lot of people notice, is caffeine headaches. What that is essentially the veins that go around your skull, right underneath your skull, hover on top of your brain, those dilate with caffeine, or excuse me, they constrict with caffeine. When you don't have caffeine, they expand. And literally all the headache is pushing against your skull.
Pressure.
It is the most brutal headache because it's not like, take a couple Advil. It's a debilitating headache. This is the extreme way to go about it. Caffeine usually
Sounds like
it is. Caffeine usually has, a half-life of, like I said, it's usually out of your system within a few hours. If you're a chronic user, it could take a day, a couple days to get out of your system. So that's like the hard knocks way. I'm just going to cut it dry. A better way is to try to lessen the amount. Now, your body's again going to react to it. You might feel sluggish if you go for that 3 o'clock in the afternoon monster. Your body's, and you don't, your body's, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel tired. Trust the process. Trust the process. Try to wean yourself off to have a normal amount. Coffee in the morning, maybe something in the afternoon. Aside from doing this, in the supplement world, we have tools. There is a form of caffeine called dicaffeine malate. This is a slow release form of caffeine. It's in a few supplements. It's in our supplement because it works wonderfully for this application. It has a half-life. It has a usable value of up to 8 hours. Now, if you're used to drinking 500, 600, 700 milligrams of caffeine a day, you may not notice your energy levels dropping so much, right? So when I say 8 hours, I've had people tell me, oh, well, can I drink this at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? I'll say, absolutely, you can. If you're drinking a substantial amount of caffeine, your sleep is already hurting from that. If you lessen the total milligrams of caffeine you're having a day and you consume a dicaffeine malate, that can push you all the way through, a typical workday. So, for example, I have friends, contractor buddies of mine, who have replaced their coffee in the morning, their energy drinks, all this unnecessary caffeine with a product like my own, with dicaffeine malate in the morning, and they're good through the day. I will say this is a tool. It's a supplement. I'm not claiming it's a miracle product, but it is a very good tool.
becomes an alternative because it's a slow release throughout the day, and you can't you take it once, you're kind of not going to end up overdosing, so to speak.
Exactly. And a hefty dose of that is about 100 milligrams. That's it.
Okay.
So if you were to combine, say, your coffee, 50, 100 milligrams in the morning of caffeine with dicaffeine malate, you won't have the crash because you'll have the spike and you'll have a very steady energy that lasts throughout the day to keep you alert. It's not going to make you fidgety, twitchy, anything like that. It keeps you calm and you're focused throughout the day. So
Dicaffeine malate is that supplement that we could use.
absolutely.
Let's go a little rapid fire on the last 3 points here. Calories. The main point is that we're working physically. So the daily recommended number of calories for the average human being does not apply if you're outside busting your ass all day building stuff.
Literally. Exactly.
So how do I manage that? Like, let's say I want to lose 10, 15 pounds, but I'm also working really hard. I have been, pretty much, we'll call it dormant in the winter season. So now springtime
Yeah.
came back,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna work it off because I'm working on the jobs. I'm working off. I help
Yep.
great. Like, what's the right way to look at what we eat, what we should eat, how much of it we should eat so that we can do a good job in the field and still be in good shape and not be abusing ourselves.
So, calories, are very independent of person by person. If you're severely overweight, you have, a huge beer gut, right? You're, mid 30s, late 30s, 40s, right? You say, I'm sick of this. I want to lose weight. I've coached a ton of clients who do this and who work construction. I see it all the time. They're usually eating like crap. They're usually drinking beers, on a frequent basis, which are essentially empty calories. They're drinking, sodas and, full sugar Gatorades. They're eating, sandwiches from Quick Check and Wawa and, all these little micro corner stores, by us. Those foods that you eat, right? It varies greatly on what foods you eat, how many calories you consume, your body ingests from those foods. A McDonald's hamburger, say 500 calories. If you have a plate of chicken, more than enough that you could feel way satiated and full. If you had a plate, average sized dinner plate full of chicken breasts, and as boring as it sounds, broccoli and rice, you will not be hungry. Most people I know probably won't even be able to finish that amount of food. You'll still have less calories than a McDonald's cheeseburger. So, trying to lose weight while you're working, you want to focus on low calorie dense foods. Foods that fill you up, like lean protein, maybe some rice, some pasta here and there without the butter, without the oils, sweet potatoes are great, and some vegetables. Again, without the butter, without the oils. I remember this coaching people 10 years ago. 1 tablespoon of olive oil, for example, could have 180, 200 calories or 100 or 200 calories, right? In a tablespoon. You're not getting full from that. Look at what
No.
200 calories worth of chicken breast looks like. Not that most folks want to be eating carrots and green beans, but just look at what on a plate. It's easy to weigh it out if you buy from Amazon a $10 food scale. Look at how much food you can consume, 200 calories worth of any kind of vegetable versus olive oil. All these foods that we're buying, fast food, they're smothered in all kinds of oils, butter, shortening, all this kind of stuff, soybean oil, let alone the fact that a lot of those oils, trans fats, they're super heavily processed, aren't good for you. They're so calorie dense. The guy who's working outside, who wants to lose 15, 20 pounds, just be conscious of what you're eating. Try to think of low calorie dense foods. There's tons of information on the internet. If you look up low calorie dense foods, there's recipes you can make. Meal prepping, I would say, is the number one thing. If you have any sort of urge and really deep down say, I'm sick of carrying this extra weight around, I want to lose some weight, spend a day or two, a few hours, go to the store and make your food. You can make delicious egg, say even a bacon, egg, and cheese or turkey bacon, egg, and cheese in the morning. If you just have that consistently and then you have a nice lunch, chicken, rice, or even like chicken thighs, some steak, ribeyes, anything like that, if you just meal prep alone, everybody on this planet who's into fitness will agree with me that meal prepping is key to having the food you need when you're hungry without saying, oh shit, I don't have a meal with me. I got to run a Quick Check and grab a 6-inch sub that has 1,000 calories in it. That's how you easily are defeated, not consciously. You're thinking, oh, I'm getting a nice chicken sandwich from the corner store. Look at the calories that you have. And and try not to ramble too much. If you're working outside, yes, you are burning calories. You are doing essentially slow, steady cardio throughout the day, moving blocks, shoveling. This can burn up to in an hour, 200 or 300 calories in an hour. That doesn't mean you get to overeat. If you're trying to lose weight, include that in your total calorie budget for the day. A very simple way to a very simple way to go about feeding yourself is you have a dinner plate, your fist size full of protein. That's your plate. A fist size full of lean protein, chicken, steak, whatever. The other 2/3 of it are clean vegetable, any kind of vegetables, and some sort of healthy starch. It's fine to have rice. It's fine to have potatoes, everything like that, because we're just trying to get basics down. So I know I just rambled a lot there, but there's a lot. There's a
No,
lot to
good,
talk
good.
about.
I think there's yeah, well, like you just said, that's a good visual, but I think the two other things are good tips too, like that the taking the time to just look at what 200 calories of different things that you ingest on a regular basis actually look like. Visually lay that out in front of you, like you can actually start to see and make better decisions because like that even if you do go get a sandwich at, let's say, a Subway or a corner store or whatever, that 2 stripes of mayonnaise, well, there's a lot there.
Yep.
Do you really need that? Well, maybe maybe you don't, so it's the little things that add up. Just like when you're talking about productivity on the job site and, shaving a few minutes here, a few minutes there, it adds up to hours, it adds up to days. Well, it's the same thing with the things that we eat every day.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
So that and the meal prepping, obviously, like it's not that bad. Get yourself a nice cooler, get yourself a nice lunch bag, get yourself a microwave in the trailer. It's really not that hard.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've been
A
eating
little microwave, 99 bucks at Walmart, run the extension cord, you're good.
microwave.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. I can't do that. I eat all my meals cold, and my wife thinks I'm psycho, but I know what it does. I know that if I eat well, man, in the summertime, we all work outside. We got a nice tan going. We want to go down the shore for the weekend. We're looking all chiseled up because we can, because our job is manual labor for the most part. So,
There you go.
you know,
There, that's good. Okay, macros. What the hell are macros?
macros are essentially how you break down calories. Proteins, fats, and carbs. Those are essentially the main three.
Okay.
You should figure out what works best for you, how you feel throughout the day eating these three macros. Most of us, I'll just talk to people like myself because that's who we're talking to. You should be having the majority of your, like I said, your plates, your meals come from protein. Chicken breasts, chicken thighs, ribeye steak, flank steak, tuna fish, cod, any kind of lean protein. This should be the key, the base of your diet. Roughly somewhere around 40% of your calories, if they can come from protein, just if you do that alone, you will notice how satiated you are throughout the day, how many, how much weight you might lose if you're a little bit overweight, right? Even if you're on the lean side and trying to bulk up, just having that protein sends signals to your body constantly to stay anabolic, to stay anti-catabolic so that you are wanting your body, it's sending signals to your body to recover, to put all this calories from the protein into your muscles. What you can play with are fats and carbohydrates. Fats are key. A lot of people say, oh, fat-free this, fat-free that. Okay, great. If you understand the calories, like you just explained before, if you understand you have a block of, say, 3,000 calories, right? If you're eating 1,000, 1,200 calories of your total from protein, think about the rest of your calories. At least 30% of those calories should come from clean fats. Olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, ghee, beef tallow, even like a clean, healthy butter. Those are good fats. Your body needs those. I did a prep for a bodybuilding show, I don't know, 8 years ago. My coach at the time, I decided, let me just try to see somebody else's input. He had me not eating any fat. I was miserable, miserable, as anybody with losing weight, would feel, but that's not, I would never suggest that. Your body needs fat for hormones, testosterone, your brain function, everything needs fat. If you can try to aim around 30% of your calories from fat, you're in great shape. The rest of that can come from carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, there's a scale of how fast these carbohydrates will digest in your system. Rice, pasta, any kind of fruit, those carbohydrates will spike your blood sugar, right? You'll feel fine, but very quickly you'll have a decrease in energy levels purely just from the carbohydrates. So what I tell everybody, all my friends, coworkers, people, buddies of mine who contract, try to lessen the amount of carbs that you eat in the morning and at lunch and save them for nighttime when you come home. Try, if you can, in the morning, eggs, bacon, that's all fine. Lunch, whatever, again, chicken, broccoli, even like a sweet potato, right, would be okay. Save it for dinner. You're going to feel satiated. What it does to your hormones, saving the carbs at night, is magical. You will sleep better. There's many, many studies about how carbs, saving them till nighttime, can improve your sleep. The high GI carbs, the low GI carbs, sweet potato, root vegetables, things like that, those are very slow digesting. Those send insulin levels like a sort of like a pulse throughout your body so that you don't have that spike and that steep drop off. Your energy levels will stay longer. If you guys have no clue what I'm talking about, look at the fiber on the back of any product that you're going to buy. You should try to have maybe a 4-to-1 ratio of carbohydrates to fiber. Anything like that, you got 2 thumbs up.
Yeah. 4-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, that's textbook.
Which one's the 4 and which one's the?
Sorry, 4 grams of carbs to 1 gram of fiber. Yes, that's a good point. That's a very good point. The other way, that would be might having some GI issues if you're doing the other way.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, and let's wrap it up now with sleep and recovery. Sleep is probably the thing that gets neglected the most, especially at this time of year. We're getting the season going, we're getting the jobs going, we're getting the crews going, we're meeting customers, we're doing quotes, we're designing jobs, we're answering the phone, coming in all kinds of times, emails, DMs on Instagram. How do you prioritize your sleep? How important is sleep? And how much do you actually really, really need for real?
So for sure, this is spring rush here right now. We're, late March, Bushland. I know tons of guys who are up until 1, 2 in the morning doing designs. Myself, I prioritize sleep. I think of sleep as a job. My wife gets annoyed with me all the time about how adamant I am on getting to bed. Getting to bed and sleeping throughout the night is, I don't want to say a luxury. It's a necessity, right? It's a necessity. Your body needs to sleep, whether your brain's been working all day or your body's been working, or both, which so many of us are business owners who are in the field and running the business. Think of sleep as a job. If you start to train yourself to think of sleep as a job, trying to get in bed, it might sound crazy, some 9, 10 o'clock at night, if that's doable at all. I have a 1-year-old and we're doing it. He's in bed just 7, 9. We're trying to go to sleep right after that. If you can get to sleep around that time, I wake up 4:45. I'm at the gym 5:30-ish. I work out for an hour and I'm at the shop by 7. I get enough sleep and I'm working out 5 days a week, most weeks. Trying to get somewhere between 6 and 9 hours of sleep is wonderful if you can do that. I don't know. I know this. I'm sure there's some people who are going to hear this and say, that's crazy, getting 9 hours of sleep. There's people who can run efficiently on less sleep, for sure. Again, so many studies, meta studies that will say people can still operate and function greatly, high levels with 5 and 6 hours of sleep. Trying to sleep, think of it as a job. I'll leave it at that. It will change dramatically how you feel day in and day out. If we wanted to,
I mean, it really is important. It really is important, and like I notice the difference. I'm very bad at pulling very late nights. Like when I have to do creative stuff, like it's easier. You're not getting distracted every 5 minutes. The phone's not ringing. Emails aren't coming in. Everyone's going to sleep. So like you just power through, and once I start something, I want to finish it. So I notice the
I,
difference,
I get you
and
totally.
uh, like, it takes days to get back on the right cycle after. So, like, if I'm gonna do it, I try to do it at the end of the week, so at least I have, like, a Saturday to kinda catch back up, but, like, it's, you feel it, you completely feel it, and then your mood is different, your appetite is different, your discipline with what you're gonna eat, what you're gonna drink, are you gonna work out or not? Everything is weakened by the fact that you didn't get enough sleep, and you compound that day after day after day, week after week after week, and, yeah, you start making some really bad decisions.
It's exactly. Again, couldn't have said it better myself. There are some tools that you can use to try to help. Say you're one of those who are constantly waking up or hard to fall asleep. I'm sure everybody's heard of melatonin. Melatonin's a great tool, supplement that you can consume on a daily basis, non-habit forming. Magnesium glycate or glycinate, that's also a great supplement that you can take at night to help you recover. There's tons of nighttime recovery products out there that can help you. If say, no shot, I got 6 hours every day. That's what I sleep. And say you're constantly tired. Everything we just talked about, by the way, if the past hour impacts your sleep and how you feel. But sleep, you can't do anything without it. Having tools and products that you can consume and take, close to bedtime can absolutely help. Minerals like zinc, like I said, magnesium, like even B vitamins. Some people not even think about taking that at night. There's tons of other herbs like talking specifically to the male audience, tribulus and ashwagandha and things like that, maca root powder. All those are great tools, which we also, formulate ourselves. Those products can help you maximize your recovery, your sleep. So even if you're only 6 hours a day, you'll maximize those hours and try to get that deep REM sleep that your body needs. And
That's where you recover.
exactly. Well, the last thing I would say is recovery. So, people who work out, they know this. BCAAs, amino acids. If you don't have time and you're one of those guys, or you're fasting, or I don't have time to eat breakfast and lunch, I was there. You will dwindle away doing this work. You will literally ruin yourself. It's a downward spiral if you don't eat throughout the day. Even if you say you're getting I do intermittent fasting, I can get all my calories in at night. Doing this job is different. If you're out in the field, you're managing or running a business, you need fuel. If you can't get your protein in, or even if you're really sore, using supplements from the gym at work can be life changing. There's simple supplements out there, BCAAs. That's your glutamine, your isoleucine, your valine, leucine, all these kinds of supplements can help your body recover. They send signals to your body to stay anabolic so that you're constantly in a recovery state. While you're working, sweating, you can be sipping on EAAs, BCAAs, amino acids, so that you help and try to capitalize your workday so that you're recovering. Especially those of you, I know there's a ton of you. I saw a ton of you at the shows, this past winter who are all jacked
Mhm.
up. Maybe you prioritize the gym at gym time. Use the same concept, use the same supplements that you use in the gym at work. All my buddies, all my friends are contractors, maybe a couple that aren't. I tell them, I say, these supplements can help you so much throughout the day that you won't even think about it. So recovery as a theme can be 24 hours. You can be recovering while you're working. You can be recovering at night while you're sleeping, but having proper recovery, resting at any given time will keep you as a business owner sharp, stable, making great decisions, talking perfectly to clients. You want to, show your best self selling 50, $100,000 job. You got to come on that day. You can't if you don't sleep and you're all jacked up on or crashing off of, 700 milligrams of caffeine. So, like I said, recovery is a massive part, which I really express to everybody who's working outside.
Love it. Okay. Why don't we wrap up? I want to take a little second to plug your product. I
Yeah.
saw it the whole time here. A Revive. Uh, it's hydration, muscle recovery, joint support. It's a dietary supplement. You just pop it in your water. You sip on it all day. It has things like turmeric in it to reduce the inflammation. It has electrolytes in it. It has a little bit of that caffeine that you were talking about, that slower release caffeine to keep the energy level up throughout the day. Um, what made you come up with that?
So I'll try to keep it short because I could go on for a long time about it. I'm passionate about it. I've been taking supplements since high school football. All the supplements in the supplement industry, for the most part, in the gym world, are full of crap. Their goals, these big companies, are to make profits. They want you to buy 5 different supplements that can give you the effect that essentially I have created, and then some. Working outside, always, starting a business, if I started by myself, maybe a couple friends the first 3 years. I was every single day, 12+ hour days. I would love to take gym supplements because I know all about that from training and my studies in exercise nutrition. So I would all the time keep aminos and hydration supplements in the trucks. And I know that feeling that when I didn't have it, I'm like, oh man, like I'm losing my gains, or I'm not feeling great. I don't have the appropriate caffeine. Aside from that, as the years went on, I'm enlightened about how harmful some of the ingredients are in those supplements. Take a look on the shelf of any supplement store and look at the back that has a flashy color, super pump, whatever. It's full of artificial dyes, sucralose, aspartame, artificial colors and flavors. That's not good for you, right? Now, obviously, more is coming to light about it, but it's not good for you. So essentially, what I was doing for the past 5 years is buying these single supplements, the single ingredients that I have in Revive, and making them myself and drinking them throughout the day, giving it to my guys and seeing how they react, how they like it. And one of my clients that I was training a couple years ago, I found out she was the vice president of a manufacturer that sells to another large supplement company. I brought her to my idea. She hooked up with somebody else, and we got it manufactured last, I think July was the first shipment date. So essentially what Revive is all these supplements that would benefit greatly the blue collar worker, the guy working on their feet all day, inside, outside, anybody who has a physically demanding job. Revive is perfect for that individual because it has the appropriate amount of all these different supplements that are excellent for recovery, for hydration, for joint support, anti-inflammation, and it has a healthy, clean, stable energy without any crashing. All of this without any artificial ingredients, because I wanted to be happy to take it myself. I'm saving money drinking my own products, even though I'm still, technically paying for it. I don't have to buy 5 supplements. People I train all the time, they say, "Oh, I have 12 bottles on my kitchen sink that I have to take here and this and this." And I said, "There's got to be a solution here." So my idea was the Contractors cocktail. That's what I named Revive. It's literally a cocktail of supplements made for those who are working outside, those who need a tool to help them get throughout the day so that they're staying on top of things, they have energy when they come home. And if you listen back to this whole podcast, all these different things we touched on, Revive has a ton of that in there.
Awesome. Okay, so let's wrap up here. Alex, if people want to reach out to you, they want to ask questions, they want to learn more about this, or they just have general nutrition questions, what's the best way for them to reach you?
The best way, honestly, is through Instagram. If you guys have Instagram, our Instagram handle is Farah Nutrition 24. FARAH Nutrition 24. You can go to our website at farahnutrition.com and scroll to the bottom, the contact us form there. Send me a message. It comes right to my phone. I'm running my landscape business, but I'm also running this nutrition business, and this is my passion. Reach out to me, Instagram, website, all my information is on there.
All right. Love it. Okay. So quick recap and then we'll close this out. Hydration, start that day with a liter of water. Get the uh, hydration happening in your body because you've basically been on a water fast for however long you've been sleeping. Don't ignore electrolytes. You're not going to find them in a typical Gatorade, whatever. So look for the true electrolyte supplements. Fight inflammation naturally. Advil is great for a temporary solution. It's not a long-term solution. It's actually bad for things like your liver over time. So things like turmeric, boswellia extract, MSM glucosamine, um, caffeine is a stimulant, but too much is bad, and it's a never-ending losing battle if you're not careful. So just remember, caffeine does not give you energy. It blocks fatigue signals. So pay attention to when you're taking it throughout the day. And if you can supplement with that dicaffeine malate that you said, that slow release, that kind of gives you that steady release throughout the day, probably better for you. Fueling your body, you got to eat. And where that food needs to come from, 40% of the calories should be protein, 30% healthy fats, the rest from carbs. Try to keep the carbs at night and go for those low glycemic index carbs. That'll have a slower release, and you won't have these ups and downs of energy and sugar crashes and all that. Be smart with the carbs also, a 4-to-1 carb to fiber ratio, like you said. That's on the topic of macros. Again, I'm not an expert, so that's as far as I'll go on it. And the last one, I like the way you said it. Treat sleep like it's part of your job. It is a job function. Like we need to excavate and base prep and screed bedding and lay pavers and cut pavers and joint fill and all that. At the end of the day, we need to sleep. And if we don't get enough sleep, you're compromising literally every other part of your life. Cool?
That's it. Home run.
You've been listening to Hardscape Growth, a podcast for hungry professionals who want to grow their businesses and level up. Each episode is all about taking the next step in running your business, so make sure you never miss a show by subscribing on your favorite podcast player. And if you're finding this information to be useful, help others in your position discover us by giving us a star rating and leaving a comment. We'll see you next week.